Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Strand Tennis Center podcast, filled with tips, advice, tennis, not tennis, just life advice too, whatever you need. Like it on YouTube, share it on the podcast as well. Thank you. All right, Santi, welcome to the Strand Tennis Center podcast, everybody.
Hello.
Why today, Santi? I kind of lost my voice 3 days ago.
What'd you do?
That's what happens sometimes because you talk so much. You actually start losing your voice. It's not like a cold or anything. You can tell the vocal cords get strained. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You start to lose it, and you start talking like this and very quiet.
You drinking tea and honey or something?
Salt water, stuff like that.
Oh,
Gargle with
to
salt water,
clean the
honey,
bacteria and stuff.
Yeah, you just need to. The throat gets dry, is what it is.
Yeah.
And it just starts to crack. But anyways, I know people are quite interested with that. But
Delicious.
how are you otherwise?
Doing well, thank you.
Anything interesting in your world? Any
Nothing.
updates?
No, just waiting for snow.
You're
love
wishing
snow.
your life away, my friend.
I love snow.
Waiting for snow.
Yeah.
What about today, Santi?
Oh,
You have today.
Today's Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. We're filming this on Halloween. Watching our pickleball people come in.
Do people come to your house? I don't know where you live, but
not really.
It's
but
hard
we
to get to.
shut it down sometimes. We don't.
Oh, really?
Sometimes I put the candy outside the door.
Yeah, that's what I
sometimes.
mean. You
Yeah.
just leave like a bucket outside.
Yeah, but we don't have. It's a good question. Not very. How about you? Very busy.
I live on a dead end, so nobody comes.
I live in a dead end too, right?
Oh,
at
you
the end,
do?
so they don't
Okay,
walk up
yeah,
this
they
hill.
don't
It's
go
kind
up.
of. It's really a non-starter to walk all the way up this hill, and then
Yeah.
you have 3 houses and it's a dead end. Like
Yeah, that
there's
makes
really
sense.
no point. So, but lucky me. No.
Okay.
I love children, Santi. Don't you? Do you want to have kids,
No.
Santi?
Do I have? Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
I think eventually, yes, but not really. If I had to choose right now, if I could have a kid or not have a kid, I probably would say no.
Eventually, what has to happen for you to have kids? Eventually, obviously a woman,
Well,
but I
yeah,
mean, or anything,
but,
whatever. You want to
like,
adopt a kid,
In
sure. but-
terms, I need more. I feel like I need more wealth.
Okay.
To be able to support this child. You know, even if my wife makes a lot, I still want to be able to give this child everything
Sure.
that I want to give. But I want them to have the opportunity to choose any career they want as they get older,
Okay.
where they don't have to. Because I've noticed this thing where certain levels of society, certain kids in certain wealth classes, they can, kind of blow by school, and then they can kind of essentially, not saying they live off their parents' money, but they can kind of, I want to be an artist. Because you have a backup, right?
sure,
You have like
sure.
a trust fall. Some kids have to struggle from the beginning where they are like, I really just want to get a really good job. I want to work in the corporate world and, get a good paycheck and support my family that way because they're making ends meet. So I want my kids to be at that level where I make enough and they can ideally be anything they want,
So, I think the good balance is, and like we talk about, too much no good, too little not good. You want a little adversity. You want a little, friction because you don't want your kids to think, my father has this much money and it
Yeah.
really doesn't matter what I do. Now, some kids, which is really rare, just innately have a work ethic that are they just, for some reason,
Yeah.
their father could have $100 million, $500 million, and it still will work. And that's very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare to get somebody that is technically self-made, and no one's really self-made, but somebody that came from, real adversity, didn't have parents, had no money, was on welfare, just like Howard Schultz from Starbucks. Remember,
Yeah.
he was on the welfare program in New York, had no money. I highly doubt his kids will be as motivated. It's just the way it is.
Right,
It's
right.
very difficult when you come from that much wealth. We were talking billionaire wealth, to say, hey, I'm going to now outpace my father. You do something else. Yeah, you
Mhm.
do something in the arts. Or you
Yeah.
do something that's creative because it's different. You don't want to compete, so to speak.
Right.
But if you have nothing, that can create some great success. But I guess over the sample size, right, out of 100 people that have no money, you're not going to get 20 Howard Schultzes. It's not going to happen, right?
Right.
So you want them to have some things, but to not give them anything. Like we always said on the tennis court, you want to earn it, not be given it, right?
Right.
So
The way all I can see it is with my kids, I will support them if they work hard, right? But I just won't give them stuff out of the blue and say, hey, I have money, so you have it, or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? You just don't do it that way. It sets the wrong precedent.
Makes sense.
So, but that's really smart of you to go, hey, I really want to make sure that the kid is not in a bad situation. Did you feel like we'll stay on the topic for a bit before we get to the crux of the podcast. Did you feel like as a kid you wish you had more, or was it enough? And did you feel like it was okay enough that I didn't have too much, but I didn't have too little?
I think, growing up with like a single mom, essentially, I mean, I had a stepdad, but essentially my mom was a single income mom, so a single income family. I had, enough food, and I just had my clothes and my things that I could earn. My dad gave me like $100 a week. That's it.
Okay.
He didn't really help my mom that much.
All right.
He did get me my first car, my second car, they're all like, beat up cars, but they still worked. I think I had to earn a lot of things. I had to write an essay to my mom as why I should get contact lenses from 8th grade.
Oh, you told me this. I
yeah,
remember this. Yeah.
Like playing tennis, it's kind of hard to play with glasses sometimes.
Because she didn't have disposable money, right?
Right. So like I did say why I should or want, and I can earn this thing.
Well, that's a great lesson.
Yeah.
To really appreciate what you're getting and understand the need for it and not just the want.
Yeah. And then also, like, I started...
What was the letter? Hold on one second. What did you...
The letter? I don't remember. It was like...
It was
literally an essay. It was why, like... So here's the thing. My uncle and aunt in Thailand work at an eye hospital. Okay. So they see a lot of, like, eye problems because people there, they ride motorcycles everywhere. The dust gets in their eyes. So they see a lot of eye problems. So they scare my mom into thinking that, oh, your eyes are going to get, like, fucked over. Oh, sorry. But you know what I mean? So...
So you had a little support for the family there.
Exactly. So, but then it ended up being where I got the prescription, and then we just get the contacts from Thailand a lot cheaper, and they just give me contacts. Instead of coming here and ordering from here, it's a lot cheaper. But that's like one thing, I had to work for, and then I feel like kids and stuff should work. A lot of the kids here, they have like high school jobs, right? So like we have the kids working the front desk and certain things, and I feel like that's great when I see them working. And I know that a lot of them come from pretty good families, in terms of at least wealth. But their parents still make them earn a living a little bit, rather
learn while you earn.
Yeah, and then there are the kids that just are given everything, which is I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, there's a nice balance. So if we're in this area, it's a high net worth area, sure, because you're dealing with a racket sport indoors, sure. And, some kids, you give them credit, are very humble and they want to work, and some kids won't. Like, we'll have that. We'll have the wrong mentality, or we'll have... You want to talk about raising... we're getting into raising kids here. The biggest sign when a kid is not kind of being guided in the right direction is when you have the parent call about the kid, or the parent comes up and goes, I'd like my son or daughter to work here.
Yeah.
And that's already the wrong precedent. If
the
parent is coming up
to
get their kid a job, that means that the kid is not even motivated enough to ask me or has the guts enough to ask.
Right.
So it already sets the wrong thing. So parents out there, have your son or daughter do it on their own. Have them communicate on their own. And if there's any conflict, if the son or the daughter is already, like conflict in the sense of they didn't show up for work, or they can't make it, they always go right to their parents to want to talk to you. That's what you don't want either. If I went and told my son that I'm going to talk to his boss, he'd lose it. He'd be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Once you start working, you should be treated like an adult. Right. And that's the big key in that parenting sense. You cannot be your advocate for your kid when they might even want a job. Any parent that has ever asked a kid for a job, it never worked out with a kid. They were never into it. They never wanted it. They were asking for their kid because they wanted the kid to work.
Right.
But the kid never wanted to work.
Right.
So you're just putting a round peg into a square hole, and it's just a mess. So first of all, we can go right into tennis, or we'll equate this into sports. Your kid has got to want to do it, or you have got to want to do it. I mean, I cannot. We're going to go through how to beat all these different level players, and we'll go through it. This is kind of like more of a tennis podcast, and we'll do some other stuff too. But if the kid doesn't have the initiative to want to do it, it's just like the worst. You can equate it. I can equate it to just like selling something. So if I have a product, and I put a product out and it's crap,
Right.
it's no good.
Right.
I gotta sell that forever. I gotta like tell you how great it is. How great it.
Yeah.
Instead, if it's a great product, you will then tell 4 other people because you love it. It'll sell itself. If a kid doesn't want to play and I got to sell him to play and convince him to, forget it. Just like the parent, you got to tell him to come. But if he's already sold and he already wants to do it, it's 90% of the battle. Because it's just showing up is 90% of the battle and working.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. I mean, we wrote something down. What is it? Where is it? What is part of this? The more you do, the luckier you get. So
the more you do, the luckier you get.
Yeah, so it's just what it is. If you have the initiative to want to do something, the more you do it, the luckier you're just going to get. Luck just doesn't happen, right? You earn luck. So if you have to still keep selling and selling and selling the kid to show up, it's a waste. Do something else. He's not interested in it.
Yeah.
So everybody here, we'll go into the podcast of what I want to talk. Everybody here wants to do well. They want to do better because they're here.
Right.
Between learning pickleball, between going from just starting out, learning the basics, to becoming a 4-0, to becoming a Division I player, they all want to play on a certain level and they want to get better. So I want to go through some winning tips, but I want to go through. Where's my list here? I'll go through it all so I get this right. Okay, I want to make sure. Okay. Make the best. Okay, all these players. I want to go through these different situations you're going to come across with who to play and how to beat these players, which is good, which is very good for our club because most of our club is kind of in the range between, what'd you say, Santi, 3-5, 4-5, right?
Yeah.
They're not, we have some Division I players that went on to play college, but mostly it's the club player that wants to get better. So this will hopefully help them. There's a couple of things here. Okay, let me go through how to beat the certain levels of players here. Okay. How do you beat a pusher?
Oh, yeah, that's like the most important one, kind of.
The number one.
Yeah.
So, a pusher is what?
Someone who just gets the ball back, makes you run for it.
Correct.
You're hitting it hard. They
Correct.
just shove it
A
back.
pusher is somebody that will not put the ball away, but they won't make mistake. They'll neutralize your balls all day, and they hit it in all day, and they'll just lob it. Even a moon ball, or you can call them a moon ball or a pusher. So, number one, with how to beat a pusher. This will be good. Hopefully this will be helpful for people. Number one is you have to be patient. That's the problem, is we look at a pusher and go, I'm so much better than this person. This is ridiculous. This should be over very quickly. And a pusher is never over because they do something effective. They neutralize shots. Neutralizing is very important in tennis. They won't put balls away. They play defense and neutralize. But you see them, and usually a pusher doesn't have a great stroke. It's kind of average, and you look at it and you go, it's almost humiliating to you to go, oh my God, this person can't even really hit a ball. Why am I in a rally with this person?
Right.
So then you get more and more frustrated, and you get more and more upset that you can't believe you're in this rally with this person. It's the worst feeling ever. I'm embarrassed. I can't believe this rally is going on. You have to accept that regardless of how the pusher plays, they're going to get the ball in, and they figured out ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be patient, and you have to be prepared for it to be a long match. It's probably going to be long, especially as the club player, because you don't have all these Division I tools just to crush a pusher. That's why a pusher is successful from probably level 1-5, 2-0, to probably even 4-0, 4-5. Really.
Okay.
I've seen doubles matches that are 4-0 players, and pushers can be effective.
Yeah.
So when you get to the level of 5-0, 5-5, 6-0, that they're just going to get outplayed. But
Right.
the pusher can have a lot of success. I mean, that's a lot of ranges. 2-0 to, say, 4-0, 4-5. It's a lot of ranges they can have success on. So you have to be prepared for a long match. So what you got to do is you need to attack the short ball. But what happens is we get a short ball. This is what you have to do to beat a pusher. But you come in and you get too hyped up, too aggressive, and you actually end up crowding the ball. Hold on. Here you go, Cinda. It's all right. We're filming. I can still throw pickleballs back at everybody. We can do it all. But So you come in, you get too aggressive. I was just working on this with a student. They get the pusher, the ball floats, and they end up hitting it way above their shoulder because they rush.
Yeah.
And they end up taking a ball that's a positive and turning into a negative situation. So remember, you still want to hit a ball between chest and mid-thigh.
Yep.
You get that softball, you run in, you crowd it, it's above your shoulder, and you're in a negative situation. You hit a bad ball, you even make a mistake.
Yep.
So be patient when you're aggressive. So what the best way to do that is think of waiting is moving still. So you just run in place, move in place, move in place. The ball's floating, moving in place, still moving your feet. Let it drop to chest or mid-thigh. So you have to be patient. You have to come in on the short ball. It's very key with the pusher. But realize the pusher's never going to beat you. You're going to beat yourself. So if you don't hit a winner off that short ball, reset the point, back up again, because the pusher's not going to drive it by you, really. They may just lob it again. You can back up. So realize if you don't hit the winner off that short ball, don't get upset. Just reset it again. The pusher's not going to beat you that way. They're not going to pass you.
Yeah.
Waiting is moving. Like I said, if you don't end the point on the short ball, the pusher will never hit a winner off it. Bring the pusher to the net. Pushers don't like to be aggressive, so you want to bring them in. Give them short balls. Bring them forward. Put them in an uncomfortable situation. And you can lob them yourself. Again, don't overhit. So those are basically the four keys. 4 keys to beating a pusher. You must be patient. Attack the short ball. Bring the pusher to the net. And don't overhit. Big key. So, if you can do that, you can beat a lot of people at the club level. There was a 5th one here that I wrote down. Make them put pace on the ball. So, if you give them less pace,
them to put pace on
if
the
you
ball?
give them less pace, they have to put
And
pace
then
on the
don't mess
ball.
up?
Force them to hit the ball a little bit. You
Right.
can take it off. I worry about that last one because you start pushing back to the pusher. You start to get it there at a level. And it's very dicey. You start to not play your game. So be careful.
Yeah.
Do it once in a while, but not a lot. How to beat the player with speed.
As
Fast
in, like,
player. Fast player.
Runner. Okay.
Runner.
Yeah.
Take away the angles. Hit down the middle. So usually a fast player likes to run.
Yeah.
So when you go for an angle, he's going to open up an angle for him. He likes to run for it. So try to play the ball down the middle as much as you can because it takes away his speed. He can't run to the ball. That's really the good thing. What I also like to do is if I end up hitting a ball in the corner, which will probably happen during the match, I like to keep him in the corner. So hit behind the fast player, right?
Yeah.
Because they'll like to run out of that corner. They don't like to be wrong-footed and go back to where they go. So if you
Right.
get him in the corner, keep him in there. Keep hitting behind him. Don't let them run to a ball.
Makes sense.
Down the middle or hit it behind them. Wrong foot the player. Okay, those are basically the 2 things you can do. How do you beat the player that attacks your backhand? So, really, the player that attacks your backhand, if they're really going after it, you want to hide your backhand as much as you can. If you're a righty, or if you're a righty, I'm going to move over about, I'd say, 3 or 4 feet to my left to bait them, giving so much room to hit into that forehand. Make them feel like, oh, my God, this whole court is open. Because they'll try to do it. That will make them go over the high part of the net, and you'll have an opportunity to hit a forehand. So really give up even more court if they're finding your backhand all day.
Okay.
Give up the court. Let them hit it to your forehand. Also, if you find them attacking you on the backhand side, try to keep the point short. Don't let them get to it. So, number 1, to keep the point short, go right. They hit a second serve, go for it right away. You try to keep it short. You hit a first serve, run around the ball right away, hit your forehand, and go right to it. So, again, open up the court for that person. Open up your forehand. Keep the point short. Attack the second serve. That's how you beat somebody that's attacking your backhand. How to beat a serve and volleyer. What do you think, Santi?
You said you're a serve and volleyer.
Yeah,
I
I used to be a serve and
remember.
volleyer. So what you got to do is, serve and volley can distract you a lot. They come forward and you get all mesmerized by that. What you need to do with a serve and volley is first just find a location to hit it and hit it. Don't worry about where they are. Number 1, find a location and stick with it.
Okay.
Number 2, keep the ball low at their feet.
Yeah.
Number 3, you want to, we'll go into hitting the ball low. You keep the ball low at their feet. What's going to happen? They're going to hit it upward. You'll have an opportunity to hit the next ball for a winner. So don't feel pressure to hit the serve as a passing shot. Just keep it low. Third one is variate speeds. Sometimes you can hit it hard, and then you can hit it soft. And then as they're coming forward, they're expecting a certain pace. So hard, soft, hard, soft. You can float a low one. You can drive a hard one.
Right.
And obviously, one of the most effective things to do is the lob. You're not really going to lob the serve. You're going to lob over the next ball. It's hard to lob the serve when they're coming in. Very difficult usually because the serve, if they're serving volley, they probably have a pretty good serve. You like to hit a nice cross-court return. That's another tip. Hit a nice cross-court return, and then you can lob. Did I get all over all those? Variate speeds, yes, and lob. Okay. How do you control a player with a weak serve? I mean, this is pretty obvious, but some people, what they do is people have weak serves, and it's not as simple as you think, and they stay on the baseline the same position that they've always been. Step 3 feet inside the baseline.
Yeah.
And cut off the ball.
You got to move.
A lot of times we don't move forward. We don't happen to notice it that it's short. So step way inside that baseline and take control of that point right away.
Yeah.
Waiting is moving. I said same thing here. Keep your feet moving because the ball goes slow, and we have a tendency to slow down and be quiet. And you don't want to slow down just because the ball slows down. Remember, the ball's always moving. It will still jam you even if it's going super slow. What's the other one I have here? So think about when someone's got a weak serve, you don't have to overhit it. Just find the right spot to hit it in. You don't have to crank the ball. When you're inside the court, you could put the ball anywhere.
Right, because if you overcrank it, you'll overshoot it.
You probably will, but
right? Or hit in the net.
You also, if you're stepping 3 feet inside the baseline, the ball's going to get to them faster anyways because you're there. You're just closer.
Yeah.
And the reaction time is going to be less for them anyways. So you don't have to go for as much risk.
Right.
You really don't. Okay. Let's see the next one. Big server. What do you think you would do against a big server or something? I'll let you answer this one.
If it was me, I would take a few steps back, not too many, and then essentially shove the ball back if I can't get enough rotation on it to get it back
Look
fast.
at you. You should be a podcast host. Yeah, move 3 steps back.
Yeah.
Shorten up your backswing. That's what you're going to do with a big server.
Yep.
And then sometimes with a big server, I'll add this, you may just have to guess sometimes.
Yeah.
Just start to understand patterns and guess. Because the ball comes so fast, break left, break right, start guessing.
Yep.
All right, so a couple of strategic things we'll go over as well. So you're winning a match. You're in the lead. You got to close out a match. A lot of people get nervous in this situation. We'll go over nerves too, but when you close out a match, you got to stay patient. You can't start rushing to think it's over. Keep playing the same way that got you there. People start winning, and they go, I don't want to screw this up. I just want to hit it in. You got there for a reason. If you were aggressive, keep being aggressive. You were playing defense, and I see people do this when they're winning. They play defense, and they're winning. Then they start being aggressive when they're up 5-1, and they start to lose.
Okay.
Happens the same way. It can happen either way. If you're playing defense and you're winning, keep playing defense.
Yeah.
A lot of people are up 5-1, and they go, oh, this is great. But offense is not their game. They start hitting balls too hard, and they start making stupid mistakes because they think they're winning. You're winning for a certain way. You're winning a certain way. Play that defense.
Makes sense.
And we start to win, and I see players start to communicate with their opponent. It's not over. Don't start being nice. Don't start hitting, silly shots and trying silly things and communicating with them. And it's not over. We had a match on a Friday night where kid was up 5-1, and he called his father. He said, I'll be done in 5 minutes. Remember that match? You don't remember that match?
I don't remember.
And he lost. Don't do that. Don't
funny.
call your parents, say that I'm going to be ready in 5 minutes. And it was 7-5. Brutal.
That's crazy.
So that's a tough one. So that means you just got to stay focused.
Yeah.
When you make that phone call, you're out of the match then. You're just mentally done.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Okay. And you can start, and again, on the opponent's side, when you're up 5-1, what usually happens with the opponent? You watch these matches very, very similarly. Somebody's in the lead, and they get tight, and the other person gets what? They're down 4-1. What happens to the other person?
In the lead? Sorry, can you
What?
repeat the question? I was distracted by Ellie, to be honest.
Could you
I was
repeat the
distracted by
question,
Ellie's-
please?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
We are filming right now, Molly. That's all right. Hello. How are you? What do you think we're doing with microphones on? How are you? No. We're fine. That's
Wait,
so
what was
funny.
the question again? Okay.
What? Oh, repeat it. No.
Yeah.
You're up 5-1 or 4-1.
I'm up for okay.
And you get nervous to close it out, or even if it's 5-3.
Okay.
And the other person's losing. What usually happens with the other person that is losing in that situation?
They get like hopefully they probably get a burst of energy, and they're gonna try to come back as an
They
underdog.
start to relax and start hitting
Yeah.
out. I see it every time. It's 5-3. They relax. They win. And then all of a sudden they break.
Yeah.
And then they get tight.
Yeah.
And the opposite
It's like a
effect
seesaw.
happens. It's amazing because
Seesaw.
if people could realize that they loosen up when they take the result out, you can tell they're down 5-3, so they don't worry about the results. I'm just going to hit out. I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're up 6-5, and they forget to hit out again.
Yeah.
So that person, when you're up 5-1 or 5-2 or 5-3, is going to be very, very loose. They've got nothing to lose. They're going to strike the bush. You have to stay focused.
Right.
And not, get upset if they hit a couple of winners.
Right.
Keep staying with your game. That happens a lot. So, we finished that part. Let's get to the mental part, though. Okay? We'll get to the kind of pressure part. I wrote some things down about, it's 3 or 4 tips to control your emotions during pressure. And people have a lot of pressure situations, and they have trouble controlling their emotions. Number 1, to control when you get under pressure, whether you're trying to close out a match, whether it's a decisive situation. A decisive situation is match point, break point, even 30-all, deuce, all those things. Those are decisive. First is breath control. You have to control your breathing. And why do you control your breathing? Because it calms your heart rate, lowers your pulse, calms you down. Breathing does that. These breathing techniques will calm your heart rate. So you can do a simple 4-7-8 breathing technique. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, and then release for 8.
Right.
And that will lower your heart rate and calm you down. You can do a simple box breathing technique. You can do breathe in for 4, hold that for 4, release for 4, hold for 4 again.
Yeah.
If you do those, you can do those in between points. It'll calm your heart rate. It'll calm you down.
Yeah.
It'll make you more, because say if you're panicking, you get shaky.
Right.
You can't play. It's very hard to toss. You can't do anything. People have panic attacks all the time on the court. Try those breathing techniques to help calm your heart rate so you don't get to the point where you have a panic attack or anything like that.
Right.
2 is the ritual process. The ritual process is very important. When you get under pressure, go back to the process. So do your breathing technique. Rituals means or anything you're doing in between the points.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go over more in between the point stuff. So whether the ritual would be, which I usually do, take the racket after I play the point, put it in my non-dominant hand, shake out my hitting hand, only look at the strings. I keep my head down, look at the strings. There's so many different rituals you can do. Bounce it 4 times, bounce it 7 times. So get connected to rituals. That'll help you a ton. Pre-game nerves. You get a lot of pressure beforehand, too. So nerves create nervous energy, and you need energy to deal with that energy. So I would jump rope. I would do jumping jacks. Get the nervous energy out of you. It's very hard before you get on the court to calm down.
Yeah.
So you just need to create energy. So
Yeah.
do that. Do jump rope for 30 seconds. Do 40, 50 jumping jacks. Anything. Any type of exercise to help you. So sometimes being aware will help you. Because people feel pressure and they go, oh my God, I'm nervous, and they can't accept that. Acceptance is big too. Realize that the greatest players feel pressure too. It's not that they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like they always say, Billie Jean King said, they only choke 20% less. They still feel pressure. It's how they handle
it better.
So once you realize that and go, okay, everyone experiences this, let me use my techniques to realize that some people get so panicky because they can't believe they're feeling pressure. You have to accept that you're feeling it. You have to accept that you're feeling pressure because, and again, like Billie Jean said, pressure's a privilege. It says in the U.S. Open, right, in that stadium, pressure's a privilege. It's so great to have this pressure. Mm-hmm. That means you're in a winning situation. That means you're in a conflict. That means good things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's some winning tips for you as well. A lot of tips today, something to help. So, first winning tip is in the warm-up. So, learn during the warm-up. Don't warm up and worry about yourself. You need to worry about the opponent. So when you warm up, find what's good and bad about their game, and you can find it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't take long, especially on the club level. You'll see, oh, this backhand's no good. Oh, this forehand's really good. Or they're both average. Or the serve is anything you can find out. Learn during the warm-up.
Okay.
And then what you do is when you learn during the warm-up, you take away that best stroke or you attack that worst stroke. You never want to get beaten with someone's best stroke. So if someone's got a great out wide slice, stand out to the left. And you or right or whatever it is, lefty or righty, and you take away their best stroke. Now what usually happens is they see you move and they go down the tee and they hit a good shot. Who cares?
Yeah.
Keep doing it because that just means that out of 10 serves, they're going to hit more of the out wide ones in than the down the tee. Don't go back to where you're standing. Of course, they're going to hit a couple of those in. But over the sample size, over the average, they're not going to hit their second best stroke as good as their best stroke. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So never get beat by the best stroke. What else do I got here? That's the big key. And then we're going to work on concentration tips. So basically the concentration tips are the same things. We'll just go in detail. So eye controls are important. I see matches, people are looking around all over the place. Control your eye vision or whatever it is. Whatever that phrase makes sense. Control where you're looking. That's why I say look at the strings.
Yeah.
I don't want to look around. When I look around, I get distracted.
Right.
If I play a point, I look down at the strings or I do anything. I tie my shoes. McEnroe used to tie his shoes all the time. You keep your vision with you, connected.
No.
The rituals we talked about. Keep the pace the same. So a winning pace is kind of calm and deliberate. Don't rush. Whatever your pace is, keep it the same. Medvedev plays very fast, right? It's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But that's the way he plays. Don't keep a certain pace and then speed up when you get nervous or slow down too much when you get nervous. Like Djokovic used to bounce it then 30 times when he got nervous.
Yeah.
It wasn't good for him.
Yeah.
He would make some mistakes and double fault. So you have to keep a nice winning pace, it's called. Keep that same pace wherever it may be.
Do you think that it's I would say maybe the word would be, do you think it's inappropriate for, some players they're pretty confident and then they rush the other player by, like in terms of kids matches, the kid will serve, he did a good serve, he's going to go to the next point, he serves right away, the other kid's almost barely ready, other kid hits it back. So he's like rushing the other player to make the other kid nervous.
Well, what are the rules, right? You have to serve. You have to go by the server's pace, right? So
that's
the rule.
The official rule.
That's the rule.
Oh,
to go by the server's pace.
That.
So
okay.
you can step off and back off.
Yeah.
If you're turned and your back is turned, the person serves. Well,
that's not.
It's not a serve.
Right.
So there's a nuance there. The returner can really just say, "Look, I'm not ready to return yet. Go back by the curtain and turn their back," and that's what they can do.
Yeah.
But there's still balls. There's balls right in that basket too. No, right over there. In the no.
She wants that one.
I got to get up out of the cast to get that one. Oh my God, we're live. This is customer service, Santi. Hey.
You got it.
She didn't even realize I'm talking to her. There we go. There you go. It's so funny. It's the story of my life. It's the way it is.
They like the bright green balls.
They like the bright green balls.
Yeah.
I was talking to her. She didn't even look at me.
Yeah.
This is what. Keep the pace. Don't let the pressure get to you. The customer service pressure. So, what was I saying? Oh no, we were talking about
the kids
pace.
rush.
When he
yeah.
So you got to serve you got to go by the serve pace. But this is a great example. It reminds me of the Medvedev match against Nadal when Nadal was up 2-0. Medvedev came back. And Nadal started to mess with his serve. He just kept stopping him because Medvedev was playing quick and winning, won those 2 sets, and he changed the whole pace. Now, I was a little annoyed by that. You got to play by the server's pace, but Nadal understands the gamesmanship of the whole thing and started to slow him down. Now, you can put your hand up. You can say, as your returner, I'm just going to put my hand up. I thought he was doing it like crazy and I thought it was annoying.
Yeah.
So there's a nuance there, right? You got to play by the server's pace, but if the returner's not ready, he's not ready. But now you can't, as a returner, stand in the back for 15 seconds and make your server wait. The umpire will say something.
Right.
It's got to be a close nuance. Like you're ready, you're there, but you're just kind of putting your hand up. You're not really ready. So yeah, I think you got. I think the winning pace. What I was talking about is in between the points.
Right.
Is keeping that tempo the same. And again, but you're right. If somebody wants to disrupt your winning pace, it could be difficult, right?
Right.
You have to understand all that nuance too. It's part of the strategy. People will want to mess with you. Breathing we talked about. So it's also posture, right? In between the points, never allow your opponent to see you shaking your head, shunting your shoulders, being upset.
No.
You don't want them to know that
Your body language.
that you're bothered. Your body language is very important. You don't want them to know what's going on. Don't let them allow that any type of negative body language. And so when you talk to yourself, it should always be solutions, not problems. Don't be like we said, my forehand sucks. I'm no good at this. This stinks. There's no answers in that. There's no solutions at all. So if you can't find solutions, there's going to be a big problem.
No.
So if you're not even looking for solutions, it's a big problem. You're just saying, I'm terrible, I'm no good, I'm bad at this, I'm no good at that. What are you going to do? So you got to try to find solutions. What else, Santi? I went through a lot today. That was a lot of tricks and tips. But so try to think of all those things. I gave a lot of information. You could probably look through the podcast and go through it again. And I'm going to cut it up into little clips for people, too, to help them out. But try to go over those. How to beat the pusher, how to do all these things, how to stay in control. I think mentally people have the biggest trouble at this level between 2 and 4-0. It's very hard for them. And you look at on the highest level, they do too. But I think you can be a lot more effective learning how to beat these type of people at this level. Okay. I don't think you're going to be able to. The pusher won't be at the high level. I think at this level you're going to be able to beat those type of players with those little nuances and tips.
Nice.
Everybody, Santi, hopefully you enjoy your day, my friend. We got distracted by the pickleballs.
There's a lot
and
of
all
pickleballs
that
flying everywhere.
Everybody have a great day. The answers and the actions. Just keep doing stuff. Don't try not to feel sorry for yourself, number one, because that doesn't help anybody. Find solutions out there, just like life. On the court, find solutions. Find solutions whatever you want to do. Keep looking for solutions. Don't look for problems. Thanks.
Hey, everybody. Hope you like the podcast. Please share it with your friends, anybody that you know, anybody that's into tennis, anybody that's into bettering themselves. Share it.